Hey guys, so one of the questions that we get regarding vehicle rigging is how do you start? How do you rigidly attach Speedrail into the vehicle, primarily at the front and the rear? This is our Volkswagen Tiguan, and while we have a kind of a custom rack on top of this car, our SSG kit is great because you can universally create kind of a Speedrail roof rack, which is great for triangulating those to the front and the rear. And it's pretty simple to use. But we're going to focus mostly on the front and the rear of the vehicle because that tends to be where vehicles vary more. Now this vehicle has a front tow hook or recovery hook, and that's always what we look for to go to because this is going to be connected directly to the frame of the car. It's going to be really strong. These are almost always made out of cast steel. And what we're really looking for is this vertical hole that we can bolt a clamp through. Now, if we didn't have a vehicle that has this, or let's say the recovery hook was maybe underneath and wasn't good for vehicle rigging, we'd be resorting to putting two big suction cups across the hood and then putting a single rail there, always strapping that down so that if you lost suction, you always have that redundancy for safety. And then if we had that single rail that was laying flat, we could put our two fixed Speedrail clamps here, which would then give us our two rail vertically to triangulate to the back, and that's where we mount the SRP2 somewhere in here. But again, we're going to be focusing mostly on this application, which is always preferred, again, using front tow hook or recovery hook. And we're going to go to the back really quick, and as we walk, again, what we're always looking for is that vertical hole that we can bolt a clamp through. And the most common place that you can find that on a vehicle is usually for towing. And on this Tiguan, this has a 1 1/4 inch hitch receiver there that came factory with the car. On some larger vehicles, you're going to have a 2-inch hitch receiver. And in that case, what you could do if you needed versatility is you could buy a 1 1/4 inch ball mount and then a 2-inch adapter. And then that way you can use this, slide it into a 1 1/4 inch hitch receiver, or with that adapter, put it into a 2-inch system as well. And then regardless of what vehicle you get, let's say you're traveling, you can use that and kind of adapt it to either system. So we're going to use this today, and I'm going to show you kind of piece by piece how we build the kind of the foundation or the bottom level support for the rail. So I'm going to start by just putting our ball mount into this, and give me a second here. And I'm just using a bolt that came with it, and that'll run right through. And I have a couple of tools here that'll help me speed through the process. You don't have to watch me tighten bolts for half hour. So now, with the ball mount installed, now we have that vertical hole that gives us the ability to put clamps onto. Obviously, this is rated for towing, so it's sufficient strength. This is also made out of steel as a welded assembly, so we're not really concerned about our 70-pound rigging having any structural concerns here. So the next part that I'm going to add is what's called a truss clamp or a half burrow, but this is just going to be a basic clamp that's built for 1 1/2 inch Speedrail rigging. It's going to be suitable with pipe outer diameters, probably up to 51 millimeters. Speedrail OD is about 48 millimeters, so this is totally fine. You can find these all over the place. This is built by Global Truss, and it just has a hole through the middle. And the idea is that we're just going to take this little bolt stack up here, and I'm just going to run this bolt through vertically, and then attach it to the bottom. And I just have an assortment of washers here, and this is just going to help distribute the load over a larger surface here. So I have two what are called panel washers. That bolt that we put in is a 3/8 bolt. You can also use M10 if you're in Europe. 3/8 and M10 are about the same size. And I'm just going to slide those washers onto the bottom, put my nut there, and then I just have a little hex key here and a socket, and then spend a couple of minutes just tightening this bolt down. And I'm going to get it snug, and then I'll kind of rotate it before I put the final torque on it. So that's getting tight there, and then you would just rotate it to whatever orientation is best for your application. I got a little bit too tight there. one sit just like that. I'll tighten it down now. Awesome. So now that I have that clamp laying flat, I'm going to use just a simple short piece of speed rail across the clamp like that. This is 6 inches, and that's suitable spacing for the SRB dual rail spacing. And I'm just going to clamp this right in place. So I close the clamp around it. I'm just going to do it finger tight right now so I can still move things a little bit. And then on the outside of this, I have 2 what are called cheese burrows, which are fixed 90-degree speed rail clamps. These are the units that are included in the SSG kit. We also do sell these separately. You can also find these from a variety of suppliers. Again, this is just a 90-degree fixed clamp that takes a rail going one way and it puts one perpendicular to it. So I'm just going to run this to the outside right there, and again, just get this just kind of finger tight. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So, and now with that, you can see we're pretty much done with this rigging. And this would be identical on the front. I'd use these exact same parts, just using the tow hook as that vertical hole instead of the ball mount. So I would then, just open up these clamps back here, put my 2 rails in, make sure the spacing was appropriate, and then clamp everything down before I kind of triangulated it up to, my roof rack, a couple of cups up there, the Moto Crane SSG kit. So I hope that answers some of the questions. In the event that you didn't have a ball mount, we'd kind of be applying that same principle as we talked about with the hood, and put 2 big cups right here on the back, and then try to secure them or reinforce them with a strap through the lift gate. And again, always thinking about with suction cups safety. So how are you building redundancy with straps or some kind of mechanical reinforcement in the event that you lose suction. So hopefully that's helpful, and get in touch if you have any questions.